Fish tank. Nora watched the fish drift behind the glass, moving without urgency, without choice. Their world was small, silent, and contained, yet oddly peaceful. Food arrived. Danger was distant. Everything was predictable. For a moment, she wondered if this was what safety looked like. A life without sharp edges, without risk. But as she stared longer, the tank began to feel less like comfort and more like confinement. The glass wasn't protection. It was a boundary. The fish didn't know what they were missing, and maybe that was the cruelest part. Nora felt the ache of awareness, the knowledge that life could be larger, messier, painful, and real. To live freely meant to hurt sometimes. And still, she preferred the open ocean of uncertainty to the quiet prison of glass walls. The last update that Nora had posted before she found herself. Her final words online were small, almost forgettable. A polite sentence, a neutral tone, nothing that hinted at the storm underneath. Nora had learned how to disguise despair as normality, how to sound fine when she wasn't. The update sat there, frozen in time, unaware that it marked the edge of something irreversible. She wondered how many people scrolled past it, never sensing the weight behind those carefully chosen words. It terrified her how invisible pain could be. How a life could be breaking quietly while the world kept refreshing its feed. That post wasn't a goodbye. It was a pause, a breath before falling. And now, looking back, she realized how often people vanish without ever announcing they are lost. Between life and death. There was no pain here. No heartbeat, no clock, no urgency. Just a space that felt unfinished, like a sentence waiting for its final word. Nora sensed she was suspended. Not alive, not gone, but hovering between possibilities. This place didn't demand decisions. It simply offered them. She felt lighter without her body, yet heavier with thought. Time behaved differently here, bending and stretching, refusing to move forward. It was unsettling, but also gentle. For the first time, the noise of regret softened. Between life and death, she wasn't defined by mistakes or expectations. She simply existed. And in that stillness, she began to understand that endings were rarely clean, but beginnings could hide in the most unexpected pauses. The successful life. From the outside, it was flawless. Achievement followed achievement. Admiration came easily, and doors opened without resistance. Nora wore success like a tailored coat. It fit perfectly, yet somehow felt borrowed. People smiled at her with envy, unaware of the quiet emptiness beneath the applause. This life had checked every box, yet left her strangely untouched. She realized success could be loud, distracting, even blinding. It could convince you that fulfillment had arrived when it hadn't. Standing inside this version of herself, Nora understood something uncomfortable. Achievement was not the same as meaning. And sometimes the lives others admired most were the ones that taught the least about happiness. Peppermint tea. The steam rose gently, carrying a familiar scent that wrapped itself around memory. Peppermint tea had always meant pause. Calm. A moment to breathe. As Nora held the warm cup, she felt grounded in a way she hadn't expected. Not everything needed to be dramatic or transformative. Some comforts were small and quiet, almost invisible. This life didn't sparkle with greatness, but it offered softness, kindness, space to rest. Nora realized how rarely she had allowed herself simple peace without guilt. The tea cooled slowly, just like her thoughts. And for once, that was enough. The tree that is our life. The tree stood firm, its roots unseen but essential. Nora understood it wasn't just wood and leaves. It was a metaphor unfolding in silence. Every choice was a branch. Every regret, a knot in the trunk. Some limbs had broken under storms, others reached toward light. Life wasn't a straight line upward. It twisted, bent, adapted. She saw how growth required patience, how damage didn't mean failure. The tree survived because it stayed, because it endured seasons without knowing what came next. And maybe that was the lesson. Living wasn't about perfection, but persistence. System error. Everything froze. The world stuttered like a broken sentence. Nora felt the panic of malfunction, the fear that something fundamental had gone wrong. A system error wasn't dramatic. It was confusing, disorienting. It made you question reality itself. But in the glitch, she noticed something else. The system wasn't cruel. It was overwhelmed, like her. Maybe breaking didn't mean ending. Maybe it meant the system needed rest, recalibration, understanding. Errors weren't proof of failure. They were signals. Warnings. Invitations to pause before collapse. Svalbard. Cold stretched endlessly, pure and unforgiving. In Svalbard, the world felt stripped to its essentials. Silence ruled. Life existed quietly, stubbornly, against the odds. Nora felt small here, but not insignificant. The vastness didn't erase her. It humbled her. Problems that once screamed now whispered. In the Arctic stillness, she sensed clarity. Survival here wasn't about comfort. It was about awareness, respect, presence. And maybe that was the point. To feel alive not because life was easy, but because it was real. Hugo Lefèvre. Hugo's life moved with confidence, purpose, certainty. He belonged everywhere he went. Watching him, Nora felt the sharp sting of comparison. But beneath his polished exterior was something human. Doubt, pressure, exhaustion. Lives that looked effortless often weren't. Hugo wasn't proof of her failure. He was proof that no path was free of cost. Nora realized that admiration could distort reality, turning people into symbols instead of humans. And symbols never tell the whole truth. Walking in circles. She moved without destination, repeating patterns she knew too well. The same thoughts, the same regrets. Walking in circles felt safe because it was familiar. But familiarity wasn't progress. Each step echoed with exhaustion. Nora understood that staying stuck required effort too. Change wasn't the only thing that was hard. Remaining the same was draining in its own way. The circle wasn't a prison. It was a habit. And habits, unlike walls, could be broken. A moment of extreme crisis in the middle of nowhere. The crisis arrived without warning, sharp and absolute. No audience, no rescue in sight. Just fear and the raw truth of being alone. In that moment, Nora felt everything collapse into urgency. Stripped of future and past, only now existed. And strangely, that intensity brought clarity. When everything was at risk, what mattered became obvious. Crisis didn't create meaning. It revealed it. The frustration of not finding a library when you really need one. The absence hurt more than she expected. A library wasn't just books. It was refuge, understanding, possibility. Without it, the world felt louder, harsher, less forgiving. Nora realized how much she relied on places that held quiet wisdom, spaces where answers waited patiently. Losing access to that sanctuary felt like losing language itself. When you most need guidance, silence can be cruel. Island. Isolation reshaped everything. On the island, life slowed to essentials. No distractions, no escape. Nora felt both trapped and free. Alone, she faced herself without mirrors or noise. The island didn't judge. It simply existed. And in that simplicity, she learned how much of her suffering had been borrowed from expectations that weren't hers. Permafrost. Frozen layers held ancient stories beneath the surface. Permafrost wasn't lifeless. It was preserved. Nora recognized herself in it. Emotions locked away for survival, pain postponed, not erased. But even frozen ground could thaw. And when it did, what emerged wasn't destruction. It was truth. One night in Longyearbyen, darkness wrapped the town gently, not threatening, just complete. One night was enough to feel the weight and beauty of endurance. People lived here knowing the sun would disappear and return. Hope wasn't constant light, it was trust in cycles. Nora felt it then. Life didn't promise ease, only continuation. And sometimes, that was enough to keep going.